A year and a half after the streetcar rolled out, one big problem continues to stand in its way, literally. Data obtained by 9 on Your Side found the number of vehicles blocking the streetcar is just getting worse. Joining me now to break down the numbers are 9 on Your Side's Evan Millward and Pat LaFleur. Guys, thanks for joining us. You took a deep dive into the numbers. And what is the one thing you come away with?
Well, what struck me the most was that the chief offender, especially in the last couple months, have been metro buses themselves. The reason that's striking is because the transit agency sort of doesn't just oversee the streetcar, it oversees metro bus operations too. So what we're seeing is kind of the transit agency seems to be shooting itself in the foot right now.
So is there a tisk for bus drivers who do that?
A lot of times they can't help it. In particular, and this is actually being addressed by by Metro, Area G in Government Squares on Main Street, kind of right at Main and 5th, they had to put the streetcar tracks right up against a bus stop. So if you're a bus driver and you are picking up your route in Area G and a streetcar comes, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
So they are in the process of moving. They are identifying a new location. They haven't figured out quite where, but over the next several months, they will entirely move Area G. It'll disappear, and it'll go somewhere else downtown.
But you know, metro buses aside, regular travelers, drivers know that they're not supposed to get in front of the streetcar, on the streetcar line, if you will, and block that. And you would think that after time has gone by, that this problem would have gotten a little better because of awareness, right? So this is kind of counterintuitive almost. You
know, one thing that we didn't get from the data that we looked at was how many of these instances are repeat offenders.
Okay.
And so what that would show us is this just a case of people doing it and they don't care, or they do it once and then it's just someone else who didn't realize yet? So is it still the learning curve, or is it the fact that the $50 fine, which is only half of what you're penalized if you ride the streetcar without a ticket, if that $50 fine is enough to really deter people? That's kind of the question that we still don't have an answer to.
So what's the fix? I mean, if this is still a problem, people want to know, what is the fix?
Well, SORTA will tell you that it's all about prevention. So for them, that involves a lot of education. That involves, like we were talking about earlier, reconfiguring some of their stop areas so that their particular different kind of transit vehicles aren't getting in the way and bunching each other up. But then others beyond the transit agency will point to the fine structure and enforcement and say that that's why nothing is changing, because
and that raises the question, is there the will to fix it?
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate question, because it'll ultimately come down to City Council deciding whether or not to raise that fee structure or change it entirely. So it really does come to City Hall.
And I would venture to say you're never going to get to zero, I don't think.
Oh no.
Because you're always going to have someone from out of town who doesn't know. What we are waiting on still, everyone compares our streetcar to Kansas City's. They look exactly the same. They run similar kind of downtown loop, as it were. We are still waiting on that data. They're compiling it for us just to see how do they compare.
Okay. Evan Millward, Pat LaFleur, thanks for taking a deep dive into the numbers. And certainly if people want to read more, learn more, all they have to do is go to WCPO.com.
And it's very clickable. You can play with all the graphs and data.
We like clickable. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.